Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. It's Whit. I'm here today with another video to help empower and encourage you on your path to purpose. Today I am coming with a message about watering yourself down and the consequences of that. So let's go to the intro and get into the message. Okay friends, so I have a great message. The enemy was really fighting me on this one, had me doubting it and everything. I done looked on somebody else that I follow, YouTube that I love, and they were talking about the same thing, and I just kind of almost got discouraged. I was like, God, did I miss my window? Like, did I not do the message whenever you told me to do the message, and now you gave the idea to someone else, or what's going on? And I really felt discouraged, so I didn't record the video last night. So here I am today because the Holy Spirit was like, girl, no, you have a whole different following. You have a different delivery. You're a teacher, not a minister. So keep going, keep preaching, keep, giving your message and give it how I tell you to give it. So I did my reading in my Bible. I prayed about it. And this morning when I woke up, y'all, I had all kind of ideas. So as you can see, it's daylight. I never record during the daytime because of the noise. We live downtown, so it's loud, and I mean, it's busy during the day, and then we also have neighbors that make a lot of noise, and my children are awake, so I apologize for the noise. It's also 4th of July, the week of 4th of July, so there's fireworks everywhere. They're legal here, so you may hear that going off. It's not gunshots or anything like that, y'all. So just try to stay focused. I'm gonna try to talk loud and be present in the video to help you stay focused, and let's get started. So today I just wanted to talk about being watered down. Whenever God gave me this vision, he just kept showing me this flower that was kind of leaning over, dying, and he just kept saying watered down to my spirit. So I dabble in planting and gardening. I don't really want to say gardening because I don't actually have a garden. I have indoor plants, but I've dabbled in it a lot, and at first I was killing my plants, like especially the succulents, because I was overwatering them. And so God really was speaking to my spirit in that sense, and he usually gives me a vision, a way to tell and explain it in a way that people will understand. So he did just that, of course, thank goodness. And he just showed me that a lot of times we try to water ourselves down. We overwater ourselves. We try to make ourselves seem less spiritual, less godly, less full of faith, less of a big dreamer, to make other people feel comfortable. And it's really a way, it's not necessarily that we have low self-esteem or that we doubt God's boldness and favor on our life, but it's a way to make them feel better, to make the people around us feel better. But we have to understand, there's a difference between being humble and being bold, or being humble and insecure. We're allowed to be bold in our faith. We're allowed to be bold about what God is calling us to do and be excited about the things that he's asking us to pursue and doing in our lives, and still allowed to recognize our need for God. That's where the humility comes from, is recognizing that we didn't do it on our own. God is doing it in our lives. And also, in comparison to other people, we can tell them and embrace their gifts and encourage them to use their gifts without taking away from what we're doing. So I just want to encourage you on that, to recognize that you can be humble and still be bold. So we don't want to belittle ourselves to try to make other people feel better. Most of the time when we find ourselves doing that, we're most likely in the wrong place, in the wrong position, and in the wrong season with the wrong people. So if we started a season with certain people in our lives, then maybe we grew up with them, maybe they've been around this last season, maybe they've even helped us. We tend to feel like we owe them something for that. No, we don't owe them anything. We owe God our lives. We owe Christ our lives for dying for us, and to save us. We owe everything that we have to God. Even those people that he sent to be a blessing in that season, God sent them. So we can be appreciative of them, but we don't owe them anything. So, if we try to keep them around just out of gratitude, we can end up hindering ourselves and hindering them as well. For one, as far as ourselves, we're not being bold. We're not believing in ourselves. We're belittling ourselves and tearing ourselves down to try to make them feel better. And we're not being all that we've called to be, trying to sit in a place where they're sitting instead of doing what we need to be doing and focusing on what we need to be focusing on. And also, God may be trying to lead them somewhere, and we're over here sitting up with them doing the same things. They're not doing what they need to be doing. They're not learning what they need to be learning. So we're hindering them too. So just recognize that sometimes people are wrong for the season that we're in, and we have to be willing to, be bold enough and have faith strong enough to walk away from it, or be okay if they walk away and not feel like we have to prove ourselves to them or explain ourselves to them. So back to the flowers. I just want to go into it. We are so scared to lose people. Our fear of rejection, our fear of missing out. We're just scared to walk away, and we're scared that we'll lose what that person has to offer for us. But God puts people in our lives whenever we need it, and for the reason, like I've said before. So whenever you start changing, you start attracting different things. If you're still holding on to that last season of your life, you're not going to be able to advance. If you're still holding on to those old people, you can't receive the new people, because certain people aren't going to be around other types of people. If they're trying to move in their purpose, they don't want to sit around and party and drink all day, or they don't want to sit around and gossip all day. And if you're around that all the time, they can't come around you in that, because they don't want to be a part of it. So you can be holding on to something that's hindering your growth, hindering you from receiving those relationships and friendships that you need to help catapult you into your future, hindering you from what God is trying to send your way, because he's like, okay, if you would let go, I could send what you need. So we have to recognize that it's okay to let go, and we don't need to water ourselves down. That's the first way that we can recognize it. If we find ourselves, belittling our faith, or not talking about God, not feeling comfortable talking about God around certain people, we have to ask God, is that person even supposed to be in our presence? Because if you can't be yourself and who God is calling you to be, if you have to make yourself small to be around people, that's not good. That's watering yourself down. It's watering your faith down. It's watering your dreams down. You can't talk about your dreams because they might not believe in you. They might try to talk you out of it. They might think you're crazy. You're worried about the wrong things. If you know what God said, you don't have to worry about what anyone else says. So let's talk about the flowers. If you put a flower in a pot and you grow it, and then you all of a sudden start giving it too much water, it's going to start growing mold. Bacteria and fungus will take over that plant. It's going to start attracting gnats and parasites. It's not healthy. So it'll start rotting and decaying, and it can't thrive in that environment. So eventually it's likely just going to die. We have to know that if it's dark, and it's not getting enough light, it's not getting the light it needs, it can't dry up that moisture. It can't do what it needs to do. So it dies. And then there's also the contaminated soil, the poisons, the toxins, things that aren't good, just like our bodies. If we go out and drink poison, we will die. If you put contaminated water in your plants, if you put people who are leading sinful lives at the foremost of your life, it's going to contaminate your soil. It's going to run over into what you're doing. You're going to be doing the wrong things in the wrong places, putting the wrong things as a priority over what God is trying to call you to do. So you have to recognize that if you're in the wrong place, or you have the wrong soil, it's wet, dirty, old, it's not giving you the nutrients it needs, it's contaminated, there's toxins in it, it's going to hinder your growth or cause your dream to die, just as it would do the plant, or it will pervert what you're supposed to be doing in the world. We have gifts, and we have those whether we're walking with God or not. The Bible says God gives us these gifts and no one can take them away. So we could be using our gifts for the wrong things. And what I mean by that is, if we are in a season in our life where we're just letting anyone and everyone come in, they're contaminating our vision, they're contaminating our dreams, they're contaminating our mind. They can speak death into our existence, and it causes the things around us to die. Just like, the plant, if you introduce toxins, things that are toxic to the plant, it may not even be something that's bad. In general, it may not be bad for us, but it's bad for that plant. If you introduce something that is bad for your faith, bad for your purpose, that may be good in another season for something else, but bad for the things that you're trying to do, it can kill your dream. It can pervert your gift. And I don't mean like pervert like you're out here doing some weird gross stuff. I mean pervert as in change from its original intent, alter from its original intent. That's what the definition of pervert is. So say you get in a relationship or a friendship, a business deal, whatever, and it's just toxic, and it's taking away from you. It's changing your mind. It's making you you become insecure. You lack trust. All of these things that you were never supposed to come in contact with, but because you allowed these, this contamination to enter into your life, these toxic relationships, your gift and your purpose becomes perverted. You start using it towards the wrong things, and then you don't receive the blessings and the calling and the understanding and the joy and the peace and everything that comes from that, because you are using it in a perverted way. You're not using it for God. So even though it may prosper in some areas, because it is still a gift, it may prosper in some areas, it still becomes a curse to you, because you're doing what you're passionate about, but it's still not bringing you any joy, any peace, any happiness. So we have to understand that bringing things in that are contaminated into our lives, even though we might mean well, and we might even be trying to change that person and minister to that person, it can contaminate us. So we have to, one, be prayerful whenever we are in surroundings that could trap us, and also recognize that we can't have that around us all day, every day. If we're around people that are toxic all day, every day, their life is going to speak more into our lives than anything. They're going to have us doing things that we're not supposed to do. So we have to limit how much we're around that, and how much we're in that environment. Yes, we can still love them from a distance. Yes, we can minister to them, but we can't be around that all the time, because it starts to contaminate who we are. Also, diseases, parasites. When a plant is in the wrong place, or whenever it's, not receiving what it needs, parasites begin to grow. They become attracted to that plant, and they get into that plant and they multiply. And guess what? They receive the nourishment that they need. They get everything that they need from that plant. So they are happy and they're ready to stay. They don't want to leave because they're receiving what they need. But the plant is losing. The plant's not receiving what it needs. The plant is dying. So the plant is suffering. So just like us, whenever we bring those people into our lives and we're trying to save them and we're trying to help them, and all they do is take, and they're not feeling us, or, God's not using them in any way. They're not changing. They're not growing. All they're doing is taking and taking and taking. They're drowning out our light. They're getting what they need from you or what they want from you, but you're not receiving anything. And if you're around that all the time, again, you will begin to be drained of all your energy. You're not receiving what you need. So eventually your dreams, your purpose, your goals, you won't even have the energy to put those out. And eventually all of that dies. So you just have to, realize that watering yourself down, allowing parasites and contaminants and toxicity in your life hinders you, hurts you. And it doesn't help them, because if they're not getting what they need, if we're so busy trying to fill every need for them, they're not going to God to get that need filled, and they're not going to feel a need to go to God, because we're filling everything for them. We're, in a sense, becoming an idol in their lives. We're being the God that they need, because we're feeling it. Oh, I don't have any money. And every time they need some money, we're giving them money. Every time they need advice, we're telling them what God says. So why do they need to go to the Bible? Why do they need to pray to God? We're giving them everything they need so they have a relationship with us. And while that can be good, we still have to eventually encourage them to seek God for themselves. And if they won't, we have to, remove ourselves, or at least put them at a distance so that they don't have that access to take, and they're not going to God for that. So another thing, when we change positions, and I believe I said this earlier in the video, but when we change positions and we change who we are, we start to attract different things. Like I said, if we're watered down, if we don't have enough light, or we don't have the right light, we can't thrive. We attract gnats and parasites and bugs and just whatever. But when we're in purpose, yes, we may go through a season of separation, and I'll talk about that a little bit more here shortly. But overall, when we get in our right position, we receive what we need. First of all, whenever we start seeking that relationship with God and making sure we are not spending that time with other people, we're spending that time with God, we receive more light. We receive the light that we need so that we can grow. And we attract pollinators, just like a plant, a pretty plant, that's healthy. They're going to attract butterflies. It's going to attract bees. And those things come, or those bugs come, and they pollinate the plant, which allows the plant to bear fruit. It allows the plant to, the light allows the plant to receive energy and to flower and eventually lay seed and reproduce. So whenever we continue our relationship with God, yes, it may, like I said, require a season of separation, but in that time we will grow. We will start receiving what we need. And then after that, we will start laying our own seeds. We will start going to others. Others will start sometimes we don't even have to say anything. We can just lead by example. Our life is literally our testimony. So they see us changing and they see us growing and they see the blessings on our life and the favor on our life. They see every time we fall down, every time a storm comes, we bounce back like never before. We come back better and stronger, and we're always, at peace, even whenever we're in those storms. Whenever they start seeing that, those are seeds that are being planted. Even you haven't even said a word, but you're planting seeds. And people start seeing that and they want to be a part of it. They, not everyone, of course. Some people are going to try to copy what you're doing, and they're going to try to copy your blessings instead of trying to copy where you got it from. So, you have to let God deal with them. But there are going to be people who see what you're doing and going to ask you. And, some may not even ask you. They just may know because you have been such a light in the world. They may not even come to you. They may never even tell you, but you have inspired them to seek out God. And he's going to, allow that seed. He's going to water it and grow it. So you planting those seeds allows your territory to increase. It allows, just like a flower or a tree or whatever, if once it starts to bear fruit and those seeds hit the ground, more grow. And next thing you know, you have a field full of flowers. Next thing you know, you have a field full of trees, whatever, all because you are willing to take care of you. All because you were willing to seek that relationship and walk away from the things that water you down, contaminated you. And you now have relationship. You now have more people who are trying to do the same things you are trying to do. You now have people to help you fill those needs, those social needs. Not only, of course, whenever we're lonely, we have God to go to, but it's good. We always want people. We always want relationship, and we were created to be in relationship. So, you changing changes who you attract. It creates other people, it creates change in other people and inspires change in other people and increases your territory. So it's a benefit all around. And the way you can get to this point, because I know it's hard, y'all. I'm not here trying to act like I'm just I've lived this out my whole life or something like that. Like, this is literally has been something that's been happening to me within the past few years, and God has been removing people and elevating some people even in my life and their importance and what they bring, what value they bring. So I'm living it, and like I said, this message, it really hit home. I struggled myself with friends not supporting me. I have a free source. Like what I do is free, and I make videos. Literally, if someone really wanted to show they cared, all they would have to do is like a video or share a video or subscribe. And it's some friends that won't even do that. They won't even mention it. They'll act like they didn't even see your text about it, whatever. And at first, I'll be honest, like I cried about it because it was very hurtful to me. I was like, dang, like I'm trying to do something good in my life and I'm trying to grow. You would think that would make them happy for me, but it's like they don't even notice it or they stay away from me because of it. But we have to recognize certain things don't align with who we are. And it's okay to be upset about it. And it's okay to be upset about that change and mourn that change. Just don't sit in it. Don't sit there being sad and feeling sorry for yourself. And I've noticed, so many people, like, it's your own friends and family that don't support you. On social media, this is something that's constantly being said, and I noticed it. And it's okay that they don't. They're not in the right position. You can't expect someone who's not spiritual to understand spiritual things. And God has shown me personally, that whenever I was dealing with this, like I said, I cried about it. I was upset. I was completely in tears because I'm like, dang, I've been here for these people. I've supported them, businesses, spending my own money to help them celebrate things that's going on in their lives. I've, been encouraging, whatever, and I'm not getting that same thing in return. And I was just upset, and I just couldn't even like focus on what God was trying to show me. But finally I was like, okay, I can't deal with this. Like after a day or two, I'm like, okay, no, this is not okay. I'm not about to be sitting here feeling sorry for myself, and I'm just gonna let it go. So whenever I decided to do that, I prayed about it. I opened myself up to what the Holy Spirit was trying to show me, and he helped me realize that that's exactly how he feels. We have emotions for a reason, so that we can understand God. When when God's trying to show us something, he's trying to show us a better way. He's trying to help us change and grow. And we still sitting here trying to do whatever we want to do because we feel like we got to sacrifice to go to God. So we're like, oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to live like that. That's boring, whatever. It hurts God, it upsets God. So it helps me to understand God more, for one, and give me a whole nother respect for God, because I can't imagine if I'm just over here crying over a couple of friends and family members. I can't imagine how God feels when we're literally all his children, and a lot of us are, just ignoring him, or not walking in purpose, or not even realizing we have purpose, and even living evil and wicked lives. So I can imagine how he must feel. But, we have to realize that sometimes people don't align with what God is doing in our life. God is trying to work on them in another area. And like I said, if we're still sitting around there, we're hindering them and hindering ourselves. So it's better to walk away, or to let anything walk away that doesn't align with what God is trying to do in our life. And the enemy knows how we feel about our family members and our friends. So he will allow them. He will literally, if they're not walking with God and they're getting irritated by them spirits that are around them, they're going to have to get up out of your presence. And the enemy knows, he thinks, okay, if I remove all them, she's going to go back to being who she was, or he's going to go back to being who he was, because she's going to be hurt and she doesn't want to lose people. So she's going to keep doing what she's been doing her whole life, and just to keep those people around. And it works for a little while, but God will keep working on us. He'll keep sending us through those same lessons, and eventually those people are going to leave anyways, because they're not really there for us. They're there for whatever they're getting in this season. So, understand that whatever walks away is walking away for a reason. Resist the enemy and he will flee. This verse has been hitting home like so often for me. It's to the point where now every time it happens in my life, I just say that verse, like that verse just comes straight to mind. Resist the enemy and he will flee. Like I said, if you're walking in the light and you're walking with God, if there are people in your circle that aren't walking with God and aren't ready to do that, and they have all these dark spirits around them, guess what? It's going to irritate them to be in your presence. Don't be mad about it. Be grateful. Please go with your demons. Like, if you don't want to get on this board and change, please go. Take them demons with you. Like, I hate that you're leaving, but I understand. So you're going to irritate those spirits. And guess what? When you irritate those spirits, one of two things is going to happen. Either they're going to recognize it and they're going to seek God for themselves, and those spirits will have to leave them as well. Or, which is usually what happens, unfortunately, they're going to get up out of your presence. They're going to walk away, because those spirits are going to start speaking to them, speaking to their mind, telling them, oh, she thinks she's better than you. Oh, she's always talking about this and always talking about that. I'm so sick of that. Oh, she don't want to gossip. She thinks she's too good to talk about so-and-so. She didn't comment on that. Oh, she thinks she's too good to go out. She don't want to drink anymore. She thinks she's this. She thinks she's that. Or he, whatever. And they're going to have to get up out your presence, because the enemy done spoke to their mind so much. He's working on both of y'all. He's working on you because he knows that they're going to leave you alone and you're going to feel some type of way about it. And he's working on them, because he's like, you don't need to be around that. He's convincing them to leave you alone, because if they leave you alone, they're not going to get that light that they need, and they're not going to see the blessings in your life, and they're not going to seek it for themselves. So just, if they leave, just let them. And also know that growth sometimes separates us. It's okay. They're not growing in the same direction. It's not always that we grow out of people. Sometimes we just grow apart, and that's okay. So understand that. Don't feel bad and don't argue. Don't try to prove yourself. You know what God told you. You see what God's doing in your life. God's brought you this far. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You can love them from a distance. Don't argue with them. The enemy loves nothing better than to get you all upset, get you out of character, make them think, oh, she ain't changed for real, because look at her still sitting here arguing with me. The enemy is winning in all areas when you're sitting here arguing with them about your faith. You know what God says. You know what the Bible says. You know what your life has, that your life has changed. don't entertain that. Don't allow them to put any doubt in your mind. Don't try to convince them. If they don't want to hear it and they're, trying to argue with you, that's on them. You can't make someone spiritual understand things that are spiritual. That's biblical. Like, you can't. Sorry. They don't want to understand. Anyone that doesn't want knowledge, it doesn't matter how much you preach it and how much you make it make sense, they don't want it. So they're not going to keep doing it. And like I said, don't feel bad, because they can have the same things. They can have the life you're having. Leading. They can have a better life. They can have whatever. It's the only difference between us and them is our willingness to be humble and go to God for it. They want to do it on their own. They think that they have to sacrifice certain things to get to God, or we do. Of course, we have to give up sinful living to be close to God. And, but they don't understand that it's a very, very worthwhile sacrifice. Like, it's really not even a sacrifice, because what you get is a trade up. What you get is way better. There's a reason that those things are considered sinful. It's because it hurts us. It curses us. But they don't want to give that up. And maybe one day they will. Maybe, hopefully, they'll see from a distance the blessings on your life and seek God for themselves. But that's on them and God. Just leave them with a prayer. You can keep them in prayer without being around them. Understand, like I said, you may go through a season of separation, and that's the period of before you meet the new people who are going to be in your life to support and invest and encourage you. You may have to even those, whenever your seeds, you start planting those seeds and they start reproducing, those may be your people. Some of my own friends and family have come to God just because of what God is doing in my life. And it's been a blessing for me because, he's elevated their significance in my life and what they're doing in my life. So it's been a blessing to me. Now I have people that I know and love already in my circle. And I also have new people that are attracted because of the light. They see what I'm doing and they want to be a part of it. They want to change. They want to grow. So God is using me, and he can use you, and it will help you figure out, that separation. That season of separation will help you figure out who you are. That season of separation will help you focus on what you need to be focused on. And it will help the people who genuinely love you for who you are. You don't want to be around anybody who you have to water yourself down for. You want to be around people who you can be yourself with and they still love you. And they actually encourage it and want to see that. Of course, we're not perfect. So we're going to, cause a rift sometimes. But overall, they still love you. They see the imperfections and they see the good. They see more good than they see imperfections, and they love you for it. And just the final thing I wanted to say, be bold. Like I said, it's a difference between humility and insecurity. You can be bold about your faith. You can, be proud of what God is doing in your life. Be thankful for what God is doing in your life. And say those things and speak those things and smile and be happy in confidence without tearing yourself down and without tearing others down. You can encourage others and you can bless them and encourage them and support them and still have your own gifts. It's not going to stop you. Recognize that you being bold in your faith encourages others. If everybody's out here doing it, Jesus is gonna start trending. People like, okay, everybody's on this Christian wave. Like, let me see what it's about. Some people gonna get in it for the wrong reason, but that don't mean God can't change them in that season. So, keep being bold. Be bold and attract those other people that you need and that need you. And recognize that you don't have to be rude. If you're busy doing your purpose, you're naturally going to separate from anyone who's not doing things in that realm. If you're sitting here praying and reading your Bible, on Friday nights and watching movies with your kids, and other people are going out and partying, they're naturally going to separate themselves. So when they say, oh, well, I haven't seen you in weeks. Oh, well, I've just been busy, in my purpose, or busy building my relationship with God. They can't do anything but respect that. It's not you saying, I don't want to be around you because you're not a believer, or I don't want to, it's not tearing them down. It's saying that you've actually been busy. So they can't do anything but respect that. And of course, they might talk about you, be mad, whatever, behind your back, but in your face, they can't do anything but respect it, because you didn't neglect them. You just kept doing your own thing, and they weren't a part of it because they're not going in that same direction. Nobody can be mad about that. So anyhow, I hope this was helpful for you. If it was, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe, or leave a comment below. Let me know what you would like to see next. Let me know what you would like to see more of. If you have any questions, feel free to leave it in the comments or connect with me on Instagram. I hope you all have a blessed weekend and a great holiday weekend. I love you and see you soon.